play back a recording of your own voice. That's not what you sound like. Not to you, at least, and the reason is happening inside your skull right now. Every single day of your life, you have been hearing a voice that nobody else on earth has ever heard. Not your friends, not your family, not even the microphone sitting 3 inches from your mouth. A completely different voice, existing only for you, every time you speak. You didn't build that voice on purpose. Your skull did it for you, without asking. Here's the part that should bother you. The voice in the recording. That's the real one. That's what has been coming out of your mouth this entire time. The one in your head, the one you actually recognize as you, was never real in the way you thought. So which one is actually yours? To understand what's happening, you have to separate 2 completely different paths sound takes to reach your brain. The first path is the one everyone else uses. Sound leaves your mouth, moves through air, enters an ear canal, vibrates an eardrum. That's it. That's the only version other people ever get, but you have a second path, one that belongs only to you. As your vocal cords vibrate, some of that vibration travels backward, straight through the bones of your own skull, directly into your inner ear. No air, no distance, just bone, carrying sound the way a table carries a knock when you tap it from the other side. Researchers call this bone conduction, and it changes the sound dramatically before it ever reaches your brain. Here's the specific distortion. Bone is far better at carrying low-frequency vibration than high-frequency vibration. Higher-pitched sound waves lose energy quickly moving through solid material, while the deep, low frequencies pass through almost untouched. Every time you speak, your skull is quietly acting as a filter, stripping away the higher tones and boosting the lower ones before that signal ever reaches your inner ear. Dr. Tobias Reichenbach, who has studied the mechanics of bone conduction at Imperial College London, bone conduction is more effective at transmitting lower frequencies, which means people consistently perceive their own voice as deeper and richer than it actually is. Deeper, richer, not fake, not imagined. Just filtered in real time by your own head every single time you've ever opened your mouth. A microphone doesn't have a skull. It only catches the air-conducted signal, the same thin, higher, less flattering version that everyone else has been hearing from you your entire life. When that recording plays back, your brain receives, for maybe the first time ever, a completely unfiltered sample of your own voice, and it recoils. For decades, this made self-voice perception nearly impossible to study properly in a lab. Researchers trying to test how people react to their own voice had no way to recreate that internal bone-conducted signal artificially. Every version they played, back through headphones, was, like a recording, missing the low-frequency boost your skull normally provides. Paavo Orepic, at the University of Geneva's Laboratory of Cognitive Neuroscience, found a workaround. Using specialized bone conduction headphones, his team could deliver vibration directly through the skull, recreating something close to the natural internal experience of hearing your own voice, rather than the flattened external version a microphone captures. Published in Royal Society Open Science, their results revealed something unexpected. When participants heard a voice delivered through bone conduction, their ability to correctly identify that voice as their own improved significantly compared to hearing the exact same voice through normal air conduction. The bone-conducted signal wasn't just more pleasant, it was functionally part of how your brain confirms, "This is me talking." Take a moment with that. Recognizing your own voice as your own isn't just about familiarity with a sound pattern. It's partly a physical signal, transmitted through solid bone that never leaves your body and that nobody else has ever had access to. Which raises an odd question. If a fundamental part of how you recognize yourself depends on a private, invisible channel that literally cannot be recorded or shared, how much of your own sense of identity might be built on signals no outside observer will ever have access to? This effect has a name in audiology: voice confrontation, the well-documented experience of hearing a recording of yourself and reacting with instinctive discomfort, sometimes even mild dread. It's common enough that voice actors, podcasters, and public speakers frequently describe the same sensation the first time they hear themselves professionally recorded: a flinch, followed by the instinct to explain that they don't actually sound like that. They're both right and wrong at the same time. They don't sound like that to themselves, but to literally everyone they have ever spoken to, that recording is precisely exactly what they sound like. It always has been. There's a strange asymmetry hiding inside this. Every person you've ever talked to has an accurate model of your voice, built entirely from air-conducted sound. You are the only person on the planet who has never once heard it. Everyone in your life has a more accurate picture of how you sound than you do. This isn't limited to something as simple as pitch. Some researchers studying speech production and feedback have found that bone conduction may also shape how you unconsciously regulate your own volume and vocal effort while speaking, since the internal feedback loop you rely on to monitor your own voice is partly built from this distorted, bone-filtered signal, rather than the true acoustic output leaving your mouth. Your entire system for controlling how loud or soft you sound is calibrated against a version of your voice that doesn't match what anyone else hears. None of this is unique to voices either once you start looking for it. Nearly everyone has some private, internally distorted channel feeding them information about themselves that outside observers simply never receive. The internal sense of your own face, built from decades of mirrors and photographs rather than direct perception, is famously unreliable, which is part of why photographs of yourself can look subtly wrong in ways you struggle to articulate. Even your internal sense of your own personality, built from private thoughts and intentions nobody else can access, often diverges sharply from the version other people experience, built entirely from your visible behavior. Consider the mirror specifically. Every mirror you've ever looked into has shown you a reversed version of your own face, left and right swapped, missing the subtle asymmetries that photographs capture honestly. Psychologists studying this effect have found that people consistently prefer photographs of themselves that have been digitally mirror-flipped back to match the version they're used to seeing, even though that flipped version is objectively not how anyone else in the world has ever actually seen their face. Friends and family, without exception, prefer the true, unflipped photograph instead, because that's the only version they've ever known. In each case, there are two versions of you: an internal one, private, filtered, familiar, and an external one, the one other people actually deal with, built from evidence you'll never fully access yourself. Most of the time, this gap stays comfortably invisible. You never have to confront it directly. A mirror lets you keep believing in the flipped version. Your own internal monologue lets you keep believing your intentions read clearly to others, even when they don't. But a voice recording does something almost nothing else in daily life does. It hands you unfiltered, undeniable, external evidence of yourself, stripped of the private filter your body has been quietly applying your entire life, and asks you to recognize it anyway, with no room left to negotiate. So the next time you hear a recording of your own voice and flinch, understand what's actually happening. You're not hearing something fake. You're hearing the only version of you that has ever existed for anyone but yourself. The version every person who has ever known you has been listening to the entire time, filtered through nothing but empty air. Play it back one more time. That's you. It always was.